York County is so much more than just a stop for gas along I-80. 17 County is filled with unique individuals with unique stories, just wanting to be told.
Welcome to another episode of 17 County Podcast, where we spotlight the people, projects, and progress powering growth across our region. From business expansion to community revitalization, we bring you behind the scenes of what's shaping our future. We're proud to recognize the organizations that make this podcast possible. A special thank you to the dedicated stakeholders investing in local impact. Central Valley Ag, Clutie Incorporated, Overland Ready Mix, Collins Aerospace, Meade Lumber Company, and Perennial Public Power District. We're also grateful for the continued support of our financial stakeholders, Henderson State Bank, Midwest Bank, and York State Bank, who help drive business sustainability across the county. Empowering innovation and reliability behind the scenes, we recognize McCool Junction, OPPD, and Nebraska Public Power District. Your support fuels the stories we share and the future we're building together. Now, let's get into today's episode. Today's guest is the kind of educator every community hopes for, insightful, deeply dedicated, and always growing in her craft. Joanna Carver serves as the elementary counselor and media specialist at McCool Junction Public Schools, where she supports students both emotionally and academically. Her path to this role is filled with purpose, personal growth, and a few unexpected stops along the way. We're excited to unpack the experiences that shaped her and the heart she brings to her work every single day. So thank you so much for joining me today. We are going to jump right into it. So I really want to know about how you started in education. What drew you to education?
My education journey started actually in the Dominican Republic. So
wow.
I was not a great student. We moved a lot as a kid. I struggled academically. I did not love school. And so after high school, I had the opportunity to move to the Dominican Republic with an organization called YWAM, Youth with a Mission. And while I was there, we coordinated with a school. And I loved it. I loved the structure of a classroom. I loved the interaction with the kids. I loved the games you could play, the opportunity to love on children. Like, I genuinely loved it. And so it started my wheels turning of like, I think I could do this. I think I can be a teacher. And then when I moved back to the States, I took a job as a nanny in Wilmington, Delaware. And while I was there, I met my husband, and I had no intentions of ever going to college. And he kept telling me, you really should think about college. Like, what's your next step? What do you want to do? And I'm like, I'm going to be a nanny the rest of my life. Yeah. And he was like, I don't know about that. And so he really encouraged me to look, and I was like, I like kids. I enjoyed the classroom environment. And so I was like, I think I'll do education. So then I did education.
Where'd you go to school?
Here at York University.
Oh, so, amazing program.
I'm a York grad.
Yeah, amazing. We love to keep you around, so that's very cool. Tell me, you got your degree in education.
I did.
And what was that journey like? Were you a teacher for a while, or what did that look like?
So I attended York. I started in the fall of 2009, and it's a 4-year. I took 4.5 with the extra semester of student teaching. I loved York's program. They do a really good job of getting you in the classroom early on. I had great interaction with community members. I actually worked for Judy Wiley at the tanning salon, and her husband was the principal at the time, and so like interactions with Stu were awesome and very encouraging of like, so thankful you're choosing education, and if I had any questions, he was always willing to listen, and so I had great support to get me through that. Also, Carolyn Newton at McCool Junction,
amazing,
who was a long time educator there. I actually catered with her at Carrie's, and she was always telling me, when do you get to student teach? When are you getting ready to student teach? And so she was in Dr. Cogswell's office, I think, a lot, like, hey, when is Joanna going to be ready to student teach? And so she's actually the reason I have a job at McCool, is because she did not leave Dr. Cogswell alone.
That's amazing.
She was awesome.
That's amazing. So you student taught for McCool.
I
then.
did in the first grade classroom. Those seniors actually graduated this year, which
man.
makes me feel a little old. But the senior class this year was my first student teaching class, and so
that's neat. That's really neat.
They were a great crew of parents. I was kind of spoiled. They were awesome to start my teaching career with. They were a great group to start with.
That's so cool. That's so cool. So you student taught and had this amazing experience, it sounds like. You graduate from school. Now what?
So at that time, there were probably 50, I wouldn't say 50 for every position, but there were lots of applicants for every position in our area. It was high demand, low change or turnover at the time. And so I started applying for other jobs. I had interviewed at Waverly, and that was the only other interview I even got. And so McCool actually was adding a junior high science position. And so I applied for it. Having student taught, not a whole lot of knowledge in the area of science.
Right.
I'm like, there's no way I'm going to get this. And Dr. Cogswell believed I could do it, and I did it, and I loved it.
Really?
I loved junior high way more than I never even thought anything older than third grade, and junior high was awesome. They're a little weird. They still like school, and you can banter with them. Like, you can have the back and forth. There's a little bit of like wrestling with life. I loved junior high.
A lot of growth.
Yes, a lot of growth, a lot of change. They're starting to become very narrow-minded. Narrow-minded's not the right word. Very linear thinking in areas that they want to pursue. So like athletic track, or like you can see the ones that are going to be more academic or one act, and so the beautiful part of McCool is you have the opportunity to do all of those things. And so I loved it. But I genuinely, if I were to ever go back to the classroom, it would be junior high.
Really? Oh, man. Brave soul. Brave soul. So that is very different than what you do today.
Very different.
So what made you kind of make that career path change, that redirection? I
was not a great teacher based on curriculum. From an aspect of curriculum, I could teach it, and I was knowledgeable enough, and we had great resources. McCool School Board does a beautiful job of providing us what we need. And so I had awesome curriculum that made me a better teacher than I actually was. I was a struggling student who needed someone to defend me, and I did not have that in my academic career. I was a middle of the roader. I was lost. I wasn't a part of any activities. I felt like I was never seen. And so behind those closed doors, so when I was thinking about what do I want to do next, counseling was high on the list. And so I started my program at Doane University, and it was awesome. I highly recommend Doane for any master's program. They are phenomenal to work with. They have it structured beautifully. Their sprint classes in the summer are awesome. And so I started the process of getting my master's in counseling.
That's amazing. And did you step directly into your position at McCool, or what was that like?
I did not. The title job opened in 2018 at McCool, and I applied for it and had lots of conversations, and I moved to then title. So I was doing intervention with back to K-6 because I thought I wanted to be in elementary. I thought I was missing out on something. And so I did that for 2 years. But I was really good at the relationship side and like filling in those gaps, or like the kids I worked with, like meeting their needs, like their social emotional needs. And so I was like, I need to find a job in the counseling world. Like, I felt like I was built for that. And so I actually applied at Aurora Public Schools, and I interviewed the week before COVID hit, and I accepted the job the week before we were shut down for COVID.
Man.
So it made that transition that next school year. It was not, and nothing was normal for anybody. And so it was difficult to walk into a building of almost 600 kids. I was by myself, like you were wearing masks, trying to learn and build relationship with students when you had so many barriers.
Yeah.
And so that was very, very difficult.
Right.
difficult.
Yeah. What was it like? I mean, of course you said it was difficult, which I can only imagine, but not only doing that role through COVID, but doing that role as a newly in that role through COVID,
Aurora staff was amazing. They were fantastic. They were very welcoming. They were very warm. It was a great environment. I felt like I was drowning. And so actually Justin had COVID in 2015. This is kind of a bird walk. Justin had COVID. My husband had COVID in 2015, and he had a really bad flare-up that year. And we were back in the doctor's office all the time. And so I knew I could not maintain a job 30 miles away and to give it what I needed with also, we didn't know what was coming for Justin a second time. And so I made the decision to resign. And after I resigned, actually, Mr. McDonald and I started having a conversation about the possibility of coming back to McCool. And so Aurora was phenomenal, and it was a great experience, but also God's hand was on that movement back to McCool, and I am very thankful for that.
Yeah, it seems like McCool was kind of the common thread there. Yeah. Very cool. Very cool. When you were going through all of this early in your career, and honestly, even back to your teaching days, was there an early, career lesson that you still carry with you?
Somebody told me actually in my teacher's program, they said, find a lunch buddy. Find a lunch buddy. Find an adult that you talk to, even if it's only 15, 20 minutes, where you go and you have adult interaction for that lunchtime. Take it and utilize it, and I did that. And so my lunch buddy was actually one of our office ladies at school, Lindsay Clark, and I went in every day, and I think she thought I did it for her, but really I did it for me. And I'd go in and I'd eat lunch with her, and we'd talk, and I'd have that adult interaction. I really felt like it gives you back that energy, it breathes life back into you before you go back into mode of teacher, black and white. You don't get to do those things. And so that was probably the best advice I ever got, was someone telling me, take your lunch breaks, use them, give yourself a little bit of separation. No, it doesn't happen every day. No, there are days, but consistently find a lunch buddy. And that is something I have stuck to all 12 years of teaching. I have stuck to that.
That's really good advice. You always need somebody.
Yes. Yes.
Everybody needs somebody.
Yes.
Yeah. So you have a really unique blend of things that you do right now. So you do media on top of counseling. What does your typical day look like? Or do you have a typical day?
So as a media specialist, I want to clarify, it's not technology. And so for people that don't know, that media has anything to do with print inside a school. So school librarian is probably a more common term that is used for that, because media, when I heard it, I'm like, I don't want to work with technology. I'm not very good with it. Well, as I walked through my program, it is definitely anything to do with print. I actually was very surprised with how much impact it has on special education services.
So interesting.
Getting kids tools that they need to level the playing field. So if someone needs large print, or they need something that's in print, that they need it for auditory because they have a print disability, or so working with our special education teachers, it has been probably the most surprising part of my job that I love very much. So helping close those gaps and level the playing field for them. But actually, it's a beautiful combination of the two. And so my typical day is I start my mornings off. I try to do some check-in with some kids that I know that need just a little extra love, or try to be in the hallways and be present. And then I usually start my mornings off in the library. So checking in books, getting ready for my cruise in the day, and then I see every grade K through 6 one time a week for 40 minutes. Usually I go over. I'm not great about keeping the time limit. 40 minutes, and we split that time between social emotional learning time and then also library time. But I have found with the littles, it's beautiful. I read a book that typically has to do with our topic that we're covering, and so I stick closely to our character traits, which is pride, preparation, respect, integrity, dedication, and effort. So those are our core values at school, and so I try to incorporate those into whatever I'm reading and then whatever activity we are doing to make sure that we are covering all of those very hard, so the expectation and the foundation is set from very early on, and then as they progress, they do not change.
Right. No, that makes sense. How do you constantly balance that? I mean, not only are you here for these kiddos one-on-one, but you're handling them as a class, you're handling them as a media specialist. I mean, you're playing so many different roles. How do you juggle all of that?
One of my greatest assets as an educator has always been flexibility. There is always a solution, and so I stick from that. I also work with a great staff. This job would not work at all places. Our staff at McCool is phenomenal. Our elementary staff is so understanding. Like when they call me, they're always so like, I don't want to bother you, but if you have time. And so that grace that they extend to me makes it very easy to do my job. When I show up late, I'm like, so sorry, I had an issue going on. They're like, no problem, like it's not a big deal. Or if I'm late coming to the library and there's a crew in there, whoever's with them has picked up a book and has started reading, they do a great job of making it possible for me to do my job well. So that helps. And we also do have 2 counselors in the building. Heather Stair is a rock star, and she has made my life so much easier. She's fantastic. And so having that other person in the building that also does it, it's beautiful. I'm very thankful.
Yeah, it is. It's an amazing team over there, and it's apparent with how engaged students are and how engaged staff is, and it's very cool to watch from the outside. Very, very cool. Probably a tricky question, because I know that there's a lot of repercussions from COVID and technology, and I mean, there's just so much going on. But do you see any challenges that kids face today that you have to deal with on a regular basis?
The number one challenge that I think we are dealing with right now is grit. So getting kids to buy in when things are hard or uncomfortable, or they're feelings of anxiousness or like worry or are uncomfortable. And so getting kids to buy in that is a normal or average feeling. That is not abnormal, but to get them to buy in that what I'm asking you to do is not impossible, and to see it on the other side, to get through it. Instead, we want to, I'm a mom. I want to bubble wrap my kids. Like, I want them to be safe, but I also know how important it is for them to walk through challenges to know they can do it. So as a whole, grit is lacking, and it kind of makes me nervous, because you are always going to encounter difficulty. You are always going to have friction. And so if you don't learn how to overcome that or walk through it, it makes life really, really hard. And so that's one thing I try to teach, is the skill of grit, or creating opportunity for our students to have hard conversations when there's hurt feelings, because feelings are neither good or bad. They are what make us human. And so using them as a guide and not as a definition. So being able to have I statement conversations and recognizing that this is how it made me feel, but it doesn't mean I have to stay here. So that's probably my number one.
Yeah. Well, and when you talk about those hard conversations, one really important factor to that, well, kids are learning, is creating a safe space, which I know you are probably heavily involved in. How do you do that?
Rapport. And I am blessed because I have them from kindergarten on. So they see me. I hope, and I'm also a realist. Like, I don't think I'm everybody's safe space, but giving them the opportunity to tell me who their safe person is, and helping them to be able to have those conversations, even if it's not me. Who is it? Who do I need to go cover so you can have this conversation? Or teaching them how easy it is to tell someone, you hurt me when you tripped me on the playground. You hurt me. Like, teaching them to tell them that instead of just automatically run to whoever's on duty. And so mine comes from the blessing of being able to have them from kindergarten on. And I love them, and I hope it shows. I don't know if it always does, but loving them where they're at too, but also holding them to a higher standard and expectation of higher standard. Having expectation for them, but also teaching them how to get to that point.
At Cornerstone Bank, we are committed to providing you the best in banking products and service. With 46 locations throughout Nebraska, we are dedicated to serve you. Cornerstone Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Today's podcast is brought to you by York Public Schools and York University. Let's get back to the podcast.
I also learned that teaching them to apologize, that when I make mistakes or someone makes mistakes, like apologizing to them has been really powerful too. When I have to go back and own what I have said or done, or like if I didn't listen or if I didn't believe maybe the first time, and going back and telling them, hey, you were right. I am very sorry that I didn't catch on to that, or I'm really sorry that happened and I did not do what I should have done. That has been probably the most powerful interactions with kids, is owning some of those mistakes.
Which makes sense. It's powerful for adults too, you know? That totally makes sense. This is kind of a selfish question, so I apologize in advance. But you see all of these challenges and you have to deal with them day in and day out. Do you have any advice for parents that maybe trying to figure it out as they go? I mean, how can they best prepare them for not only school, but life?
Don't always believe everything you hear. I think, like, truly taking it with. So I currently have a kindergartner and a second grader, and whenever they tell me something, my next question is, what happened first? What happened? What happened right before that? So, like, whether they're upset that their friend wouldn't play with them, or they didn't get picked first at a game, or they didn't. I always ask what happened for them. So, teaching them to self-reflect of, ooh, you're right. I did not treat them very kindly in the classroom, and then when we went out to recess, they did not pick me to be on their team. Well, yeah, their feelings were hurt. They weren't doing it because they were trying to be mean to you. Their feelings were hurt. So teaching them to self-reflect. Parenting is hard. It is so hard. And so when I feel bad for parents who don't have a full picture from things that happen, and when you're only hearing one side of it, that is so difficult. And so I encourage parents to pick up the phone, but when you pick up the phone, you've got to be willing to listen to the other side. And so that is hard. It's hard as a mom, because I watch things happen as a mom, and I want to, like, either lose it on my kids because they're not doing the right thing, but also that I have to trust that those that are with them are going to do what's best for them too. Sure. Yeah, I know. It's hardest so question hard. Ever, but that is so hard. Yeah. I also think the hardest thing about parenting is you don't know if what you're doing is working until it's almost too late, and then you've invested all of this time into whatever you're doing. But also, I really believe that consistency matters. Sure. We in our house follow the rule of 3. So 3 minutes in the morning, 3 minutes in the afternoon, and 3 minutes before bed. And I don't ask anything of the girls. Like, I give them 3 minutes. Like, when we get in the car, I don't ask what happened at school, or I don't ask anything from them. We spend 3 minutes just talking about whatever they want to talk about, and then 3 minutes before bed. So we follow the rule of 3. There's lots of different theories out there, like 20 minutes. Like, if you spend 20 minutes a day with your kid where you just do whatever they want, like the impact that has for the rest of the day, or if you can do it once a week, but giving them that freedom to just be without any expectations is really powerful too. Interesting. Ugh, there's so much. There's so much. So, of course, you have a lot going on. It's very obvious, and thank you for everything you do. But are there any projects or initiatives that you're looking into, any curriculum you're really excited about, anything coming up? I am excited. I'm always excited for a new school year. We are actually talking about starting a podcast for school to provide parents another route, or just to have resources that are there all the time. I think sometimes I only talk to parents when there's a crisis, or like when there's been an issue. And so giving some of what you're talking about with, as a parent, what can I do to help? So having those resources, or like, hey, this is what we follow, like at school, here's where you can go and read about it, or hey, here's how we have these conversations at school. Just another place for them to have a resource. I am really excited about that. I also just like I'm always excited for the kindergarten class to come in because I don't know what to expect.
Yeah.
So sometimes I have a plan in my head and then I get into it and I'm like, they hate this. Like I have to change what I'm doing. But it's also the beauty of my job is that I do have an outline and a curriculum I follow, but I'm not stuck to it. I don't have to do that. I get to adjust according to what their needs are at the moment, which is a beautiful place to be.
Yeah, absolutely. I know you had talked about this a little bit earlier, but let's talk about literature and emotional development in kids and how important that is.
Exposure. Just exposing your kids, spending time in books that there is value. Also, our kids don't know how to sit in silence. And so teaching children how to self-entertain, books are a great way to do that. So like teaching them quiet time. Also, books take you a million places.
Yeah.
And so even kids that don't love to read, you can find something they love to learn about. So even like this year more than ever, the search and find books have been really popular with our kindergarten crew. And I think it's because a couple people started checking them out and then other people started. So just exposure. I think parents are always worried too about books that are like that they're what they're reading or like how much they're reading, like how many words. I think any book is a good book. So like graphic novels, they're a great book. Like they're actually really hard to track. Graphic novels are super hard to track. So giving them that exposure, I honestly believe that if you can teach kids, give kids things they love, they will become lifelong learners in literature. And so whatever that is. Also, audiobooks are a huge impact on reading. There are a lot of studies coming out right now that talk about the beauty of audiobooks, because even when I read out loud to my kids, I may skip a word or two or don't do it perfectly, but on an audiobook it is the one time they hear everything exactly grammatically correct how it should be.
Interesting.
And there's huge studies coming out of using audiobook while they're tracking, or to read and then go back and listen to the chapter on audiobook so they can hear the corrections. Audiobooks are
Interesting. I've never even thought about audiobooks for littles. I mean, I listen to them, but I never even thought about that.
Instead of in the car letting your kids be on tablets, turn on an audiobook.
Interesting. That's a great idea. Wow. Okay. Learn something new. Cool. So let's talk about just your broader journey, because you have a really interesting path. I mean, was it the Dominican Republic?
I went to the Dominican Republic.
So what was that like?
I loved the Dominican. If I ever had the opportunity to go back and spend an extended amount of time there, I would. I actually regret the fact that I did not invest more in my Spanish when I was there, because we were in English-speaking schools, and the people I lived and worked with, they wanted to work on I was never forced to just speak Spanish. Sure. And so I have great vocabulary, but I cannot like conjugate. I can't, I don't speak great Spanish. Sure. So that is one thing I do regret greatly. But I am a firm believer in exposure. So if you have the opportunity to travel, do it. It gave me the ability to live and work with people that I had no commonalities with, none. I did not speak their language. I did not understand their culture. I did not understand what their family dynamics looked like. I did not eat the same kind of food, nothing. I had no commonalities, and it holds a very special place in my heart, and it always will. And I was just there under a year. Like I wasn't even there for extended period of time, so I loved it. I actually also spent time about a month in Haiti, and I loved Haiti too. I loved it too. So
how would you say that those experiences kind of shaped your perspective as an educator, especially in the counseling realm?
Well, I think we lack in the Midwest, which no harm of anybody, but we lack diversity. And so my ability to, I think, connect with people is very different. I have a different sense of empathy, or I'm also not afraid to ask questions. And sometimes I get myself into trouble, but also I genuinely want to know how we can connect with you. My husband works for the college, for York University, and it helps us in that world too. I am not afraid to ask questions, and I think that's something that we don't spend a lot of time working on either. So
Yeah. Interesting. Okay, so we're kind of shifting a little bit. You have a lot on your plate. I mean, you're probably go until you go to sleep, right? How do you recharge and stay centered with everything that you're doing? It's a very emotionally taxing job. How do you kind of center yourself?
I have a very strong faith. I try, I shouldn't say every day, but I do try to spend every day for at least 15 minutes in scripture, reading and refilling my cup, because I truly believe that the number one commandment is to love God and to love people. It is everywhere in scripture. And so what I do as a job is I feel like a calling from the man who created me, and so from the God who created me. And so I take that very seriously, and I spend a lot of time in prayer over our students and my family and those I work with, because I believe in the power of prayer. And so that is something that I take pretty seriously. I also am really good at compartmentalizing. I know my role, and sometimes I step outside of that. I do. Sure. But I do know my role, and so when there's difficult situations, they stick with me, but I also know that I have done what I can, and I am fighting the fight in my role. And so I'm okay with that. I have to be okay with that. I can only control so much. And so, but then I also believe in the power of prayer. So I will pray over situations. But my faith is definitely.
Yeah, keeps you rooted.
100%. I also am married to a really amazing man. Justin is a good man. He's a great listener. He also is never afraid to check me. Like if I am in the wrong, he will tell me that, and will tell me you need to go correct that, or he'll maybe give me a little bit of empathy and be like, actually you are a little mean. And I am very thankful for that, someone who is willing to fight with me and also fight for me, and so I am very grateful for that.
Yeah, I like how you worded that. That was beautiful. And then lunch buddies, of course.
Lunch buddies are a huge hit. Thanks, Lindsay Clark.
Okay, so we're going to get into a really fun part. Or I think it's fun. Hopefully you agree with me. It's just rapid fire. So first thing that comes to your mind, if you need to think about it, that's okay. Go-to comfort drink or morning ritual.
I'm a coffee drinker.
Me too.
I love anything hot, really. Tea. I just, that warm, fuzzy feeling.
Yeah.
I try in the summertime to drink iced coffee. It is not the same. So I'm a warm, I would say a warm drinker. Anything that comes warm, I'm a fan of. Okay.
Do you have a favorite book that you'd recommend to kids?
To kids or to adults?
We can do either one. And if it's an adult, I'll have to write it down.
My all-time favorite book is probably The Bluest Eyes by Toni Morrison.
Okay.
It's a great read. It challenges, I think, the way we think and what we think is right. And it's also the number one contested banned book.
Oh.
And so, but it is such a good, it is a great, Toni Morrison is a phenomenal writer. Anyways, also I loved Where the Crawdads Sing.
It's a great one.
So my nerdy science part, I loved how they incorporated the science, and then also I am pretty good at guessing books. I did not see that ending coming anywhere. Yeah. So I'm a fan of. I also just finished reading probably 3 weeks ago a book called Homegoing. I cannot think of the author right now, but it was a beautiful story about half siblings, and it tracked their genealogy through the transatlantic slave trade.
Oh.
And it was beautifully written.
Interesting.
It was beautiful. it was a beautiful story.
Okay. I feel like me and you need to connect on book recommendations because, yeah. Do you have any hidden talents or hobbies that your students might not know about? I know it's a tricky one.
I am like the least talented human on earth. I really am. Like, I was a terrible athlete. I can't sing. I love to dance, but I don't have great rhythm. Like, I'm an avid reader.
Yeah, it counts.
I actually am really great at hospitality. Like,
it
does not overwhelm me. I love to have people in our house. I like to feed people. And so I really feel like that's an underrated gift.
Yeah.
I love hospitality. I love hospitable people. I think they're great. So I like hospitality, but there's not like anything like...
No, that totally counts. That totally counts. That's not an easy thing. So like, we'll take that. Yeah. Most underrated spot in Nebraska.
I actually honestly think Recharge is super underrated.
It is really pretty if you go at sunset.
Yes. Justin takes the girls kayaking quite frequently out there, and they go like pretty far distance underneath. The sandhills are beautiful. Like Valentine, that area is beautiful. The Niobrara is beautiful. Indian Cave is awesome. Ash Falls is really cool. There's a lot of great places, but here locally, I'm like, people, you do not take advantage of Recharge like you should. It is pretty.
It's true. That's so true. And there's actual camping spots there too.
Yes.
So you can go stay overnight if you want.
Yes.
Dream travel destination that's still on your list.
There's lots. I would love to go see the Northern Lights. I think that would be amazing. So any of the countries that offer that. I would really love to go to Tanzania.
Ooh.
My husband has been. But I would really love to go to Tanzania. I think Madagascar would be cool. But high on that list is definitely the Northern Lights. Definitely the Northern Lights.
Okay. If you could meet any author, who would it be?
John Jory. So John Jory is the author of The Couch Potato. I'm trying to think. He has like a whole slew of books. The Cool Bean, but he writes clever. They are so clever, but they always incorporate social emotional things, but they also incorporate a lot of self-awareness. So like The Bad Seed is about the seed that is a bad guy, but he's not really a bad guy. He just is kind of grumpy, and then he realizes like, I don't have to be grumpy. I would love to pick apart his brain. I would love to pick apart his brain.
Interesting. Okay. So let's look ahead. Let's look into the next year. I think you already kind of answered this with being excited to meet, the new kindergartners, but is there anything else that you're looking forward to in the next year? And podcast, possibly.
We are changing principals. I am excited to work with him. I'm excited to see what opportunities that opens.
Yeah, I mean, you've already listed a handful. Do you have any personal or professional goals that you're excited about? And this can be long term.
I eventually would love to get my doctorate.
Ooh.
So I would love to do a study. We're seeing a lot of dual diagnoses of autism and ADHD. And those two things do not match. And I think we're looking at a new diagnosis. So I would love to work with a neurological team, on a team where you study.
Interesting.
I would love to be on a team that studies what we are seeing right now in the uptick of it, whether it's from screens, whether it is in utero. I don't know what it is, but I would love to be on a team that studied.
Interesting.
Those two do not match as diagnosis, so it's very interesting that we're seeing those dual diagnoses. So,
man, I'd like to pick your brain apart for that. I'm curious on your thoughts. So let's say that there's a community member or a parent that's listening to this that wants to get into contact with you. How would they do that?
They can always call school. Schools will get a hold of me. The website, I think I have my email address on there, which is almost like texting us because it comes right to my phone. So my email address is joanna.carver@mcjmustangs.org. I check it frequently, and come
Awesome.
stop by school. We actually are having library hours this summer. So we're doing
cool.
Monday through Thursday from 9 until 11. And there will be someone in there. There's several staff members who have signed up to do it. And so we're just opening the library. So I'll be in there at least the first full week of June, probably a couple other times. So stop by school. And during those hours, I'll be there.
That's very cool. And that's just for kids to come and enjoy
Kids
the
to
library.
come. You do have to have a parent or guardian, somebody responsible with you, but we'll come on though. Come on down.
That's amazing. That's good to know. So thank you. I think we're going to wrap it up. Thank you so much for coming, sharing your journey, your knowledge. Do you have any lasting words of wisdom for anyone who may be listening?
I would like to say that York is a very unique place. York County is a very unique place. And those of you that want to leave, I would encourage you to remember how peaceful our environment can be. And if you let it be that, it can create great healing. It's been a great gift to my family and to me. And so I'm very grateful for York.
Oh, I love it. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining me. And I can't wait to see what comes next.
Thanks for having me.
That's a wrap on another episode of the 17 County Podcast. As always, thank you for joining us to explore the business leaders, community champions, and transformational efforts shaping our regional economy. A final word of appreciation to our stakeholders: Central Valley Ag, Clutie Inc., Overland Ready Mixed, Collins Aerospace, Meade Lumber Company, Perennial Public Power District, Henderson State Bank, Midwest Bank, York State Bank, K Junction OPPD, and Nebraska Public Power District. Your investment doesn't just support this podcast, it strengthens York County's momentum in innovation, growth, and long-term resilience. Until next time, stay engaged, stay informed, and continue supporting the businesses and partners that make our communities thrive.